Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to Disarranged Talk Show. Joining you live from Be More on the D, your hosts, Matt and Andrew. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
What is up, my friend?
Got you.
What's going on, bud? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was just talking to our TikTok audience. We've got a pretty good audience going on there, so we appreciate everybody that's joining us there and joining us here. So, how are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a long week.
Yeah,
been a long week. Yeah.
All right. Well, you ready to kick this thing off?
I am, sir.
All right. Hey, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to Disarrange, your one-of-a-kind talk show where a healthy network is a strong network. Tonight, we have a great show planned for you. We're actually welcoming back a good friend of ours, Matthew Rinehart with the United States Marine Corps. So please stay tuned for some great topics and conversation. So we obviously always appreciate everybody that's watching us and joining us. Thank you very much for your time. But if this is your first time joining us, I want you to know this is my favorite part of the show. This is where I hand it over to my co-host, Matthew Gardner. Yes, sir.
I thought you were missing something. Wasn't there supposed to be a whole section in there where you thanked me?
No, I didn't want to do that. I told you I wanted to take that out. I didn't want to give you any accolades until the end of the show. So, but thank you for keeping me on course. I purposely took that out. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you.
And now, your news and current events with Matt G.
Oh, man. Sorry, I couldn't pass that up.
No, that was good, bud. That was a good call. And actually just gave me an opportunity to tell everybody that I purposely took that out of the show because I didn't want to thank you.
Okay. Well, that's what I figured. So I wanted to say it. So we had to talk about it. Anyway, I got some interesting news and another top 10 list for us this week. We'll go through that then, but we're going to start with the World Athletics Commission banning transgender women from female sports. This is a story that I've been following for a long time. If anybody who pays attention to sports, the participation of transgender athletes has come into play, I think mainly like past couple years.
Right.
But we've seen it with collegiate level sports, with swimming and certain sports like that. What's your thoughts on that, just to start?
Listen, I don't think it's fair. I don't think that I can live my life to this point and say I decide to be a female and then start dominating in a sport. I think it's unfair. Structurally, females and males are built differently, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't think that they should be allowed to participate. And it's nothing against that community. It's nothing against their decisions as people and human beings, right? But you also have to understand that there's a lot of differences chemically that goes on inside of the body. That I don't obviously know everything, but it's scientifically proven in facts.
Yeah, and what they're going on is science. So what they're saying is that the testosterone blockers that these athletes are using pre event, train is not enough to guarantee that they're not having an unfair advantage. What they're basically saying is that once a man goes through puberty, at whatever age he goes through puberty, he gets that testosterone and builds that muscle. And right there is the unfair advantage. So this brings us into another conversation of how do you stop that, right?
Well, I think before we even get into something like that, I think it's a huge, I don't want to say a win, but it's a huge statement for this entire argument in the last couple of years talking about the biological side of this topic, right? So for something as prestigious as this, what do you, association or whatever,
I mean, it's the World Athletic,
right?
They govern professional and collegiate athletics and all
Right.
that.
So, I mean, that's like the World Health Organization coming out and telling you need to put masks on, right? So I think that there's some sort of weight or merit behind what they're saying. So, but when they come out and specifically say, listen, once that puberty happens, a male goes through puberty, it's just backing up the argument that there, in my opinion, that there's a male and that there's a female.
Well, I'm not. Listen, I'm not getting into any of that. I'm not. That's an argument for another time. Well, I'm just saying, like I believe everybody should be able to do what they want to do. I'm not getting
100%.
into what's right and wrong. Everybody's opinions are different. I think where we get into issues is when people want to make their opinions other people's opinions, and it's not fair because everybody has grown up different and has different moral standards and different religious standards. So it's impossible for everybody to have the same opinion. So as far as the athletic play goes, I do think I agree with them in the sense that once a man goes through puberty and builds that muscular frame, then that's already an advantage there. So,
well, part of the problem too is not everybody is the same, but also that I don't like when people they force the idea on you when their logic goes out the window, because and we've said this 100 times on the show, there's people that want to be a part of something so unique, that's so different, that sets them apart and makes them special, but they're completely denying the science behind it, right? So I think when you force it upon somebody, you don't give them the chance to have their own views. It's considered extreme and wrong, in my opinion.
well, yeah, like I said, I'm not. I have enough issues in my life that to be sticking my nose in other people's lives and telling them what they should do. So, as long as people are happy, I'm happy. But
guys aren't playing against women.
I mean, what the physics behind it and the science behind it, it tells its own story. But we'll see where that goes. I'm sure this is a evolving story that's going to last years from now. So,
yeah, we'll be
next
back.
up, yeah. Next up, we got a TikTok is squaring off against the government right now.
All right, TikTok. Shout out to the TikTok people out there watching us right now. Thank you very much.
Right, the TikTok CEO Xiao Zichu. I hope I said that.
It sounds like I'm not going to.
Xiao Zichu. He is up testifying to Congress right now about TikTok and the United States Congress concerns for security. Revolving around TikTok. What do you think I mean by that?
Well, I mean, you got there's a lot of things, a lot of security risks that with everything's information now, right? The new back in the day we had the big oil boom, right? The oil money. There's attention and information is the new oil money. Is what can it be done with it, not only for the good, and there's a lot of bad things that can be done in terms of people's identity, with AI nowadays being able to literally make you look like you're saying something and you're truly not. Like, it's very scary of what can be done with the information that we put on these apps.
Yeah. So, I mean, the main concern is that TikTok is a Chinese owned company, right? And it's Chinese operated, right? Yep. And although no information from users that use TikTok, like yourself,
right,
and me, has been shown to be shared with the Chinese government yet. There's no guarantee that it'll never happen. And where it becomes a gray issue is China is a communist government. So basically, if they said, give us this information, they wouldn't have a choice. And that's where this is a bipartisan issue. So this isn't like Republican and Democrat fighting against it. They both came together and said that this is a major, major security concern, because if the Chinese government says we want the information of the users on TikTok, they have to give it. So
can I just throw something else in there, kind of like playing devil's advocate a little bit? Yeah. I'm not saying this is all security risks that I think we should all be aware of. Do you think that or also, let me ask everybody, like, let us know in the chat. Do you guys think that this is also the U.S. big tech being responsive for losing millions of dollars in advertisement money? because you got to think all those people, all the people that have gravitated towards TikTok and started, you know, the coins and the shirts and all these things that add up to some sort of currency.
Yeah.
Like
I hear what you're saying, and I don't. That could possibly be it. I think there's many reasons. I think another reason is that TikTok is a news outlet that the United States government does not control. And I think that is a major issue, right?
You think that's bigger than the money, probably?
I think so, because it's a way for news to get out that the United States government doesn't have control over funding via CNN or MSNBC or Fox News.
Right.
All those news stations are putting out news that they're not, it's news that's directed at certain people. TikTok gives you the news raw, and some of it's bullcrap. You know what I mean? I'm not saying everything that comes out there is believable,
of course,
but a lot of the stuff is raw information that you'll never see on local news stations. So I do think there's concern in the government that this information is being allowed to get out, and we have no control over stopping filtering it. Yes, exactly.
So to wrap that one up as a whole, it's scary. I think just listen, it starts with everybody too, right? We gotta watch and look at what we're doing and just be cognizant about that there's just bigger threats now in the tech world and stuff like that than it is than it had been in the past.
So we'll see what happens with this. My guess is that they'll end up banning it.
I'm actually interested to see how's that going to work? Like, are they just going to delete it from all, like, how is that going to work?
So it comes from, it's the same thing as like being able to use a site that's only used in another country. Basically, it's like a VPN thing. If you're using, I'm not a big ones and zeros guy, so I mean, talk to a data guy, but if you're using any kind of address from the United States, you will not be able to access TikTok. You see what I'm saying? But I think what they'll do first is they'll ban it from any government employees, and that probably will include the military. And we'll talk to Matt.
And then they'll start going in stages. So I also know a little bit about this argument that which I don't agree with this at all, is that if their intentions aren't negative, right? If their intentions aren't bad with this platform, how come the content is so different from one culture to the next or one country to the next? The Chinese only allows positive educational things to better and move their culture or their society in a better, more productive manner, while dumbing ours down. And that's straight up truth.
Well, I mean, they've also stole a lot of technology from the United States too.
Right.
So.
But I'm saying, like, you go on this thing, dude, it's like, you're not, I'm tired of seeing freaking young girls dancing in freaking clothes they shouldn't be wearing. I'm tired of the parents not monitoring that. Like, there's just a lot of shit that
it's wide open. It's the Wild Wild West.
This is modern, but this is also, and I hate to say the W word, this is modern day warfare, dude. It's just a slow chip at weakening societies. I just think this is all part of the bigger plan. Not to sound crazy, dude. I'm telling you, I just think that there's ill intention somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you could be right. So we'll see where that goes. I'll keep you updated, and we're going to move on to your favorite part of the news segment, which is our top 10 list. And I got a good one this week.
Give me one, baby. Let's go.
All right. So we are doing top 10 things people brag about that are major red flags.
All right. So Matt, let's get us side by side. Yes. I'm going to jump in and say to TikTok, hey, listen, 10 red flags that are dangerous signs that you. So listen, if that's you don't have to say anything. Same with you guys listening out there on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Matt, I am not going to be. Hold on. Before we get into this, I want to start off by saying I have not seen the list.
Mm-hmm. No, I never show them to you. Yep.
You never show me the list. I am so nervous that I'm going to find more than a handful of things that I've said before. So if you're watching, I've grown.
Yeah.
I'm a better person. Hit me with the first one.
All right. Number one is I won that breakup.
I won that breakup.
I won that breakup. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why anybody would brag about that. But okay. I honestly, it
So what
says
does that mean if it's
if I
the
recently went
opposite?
through, about, with my significant other, luckily I was able to stop it before it became an ordeal. However, no one wins with two people in love separate. So they're saying, like, basically, if you're claiming that you've won something when the relationship ends, it's not something to brag about, because no one wins when two people who love each other separate.
Right. And the person, I believe, if we're playing the opposite, the person that's saying that is probably very damaged and trying to make themselves feel better.
All right. Number 2 is going to hit a lot of people. I am such a nice person. So their logic behind this is that if you have to brag, I would think maybe about anything, but like being a nice person, it probably means that you're not a nice person, or you're using your vocabulary to cover that up. But I know people who say this that are really nice people. So,
Are they?
they are. My girlfriend says this a lot, and I told her about the list, and she's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my whole life. So it doesn't apply to her.
Shout
Number
out,
Number 3, the solution is so simple. Like bragging that you know the answer to everything.
I don't see how that's a red flag, especially if you're in an argument and it's like one side, like you just know that, like, listen, like this, the solution is simple.
Well, they're saying like people who instantly know the answer for everything. Like if you're overweight, eat less, or if you're addicted,
I know that's simple.
If you're on drugs, you're addicted. You know, like they instantly know the answer to everything. It's like, obviously we know the answers to them. It's just not always.
I see that. Yeah.
Number 4, all their exes are crazy. I mean, I think we all know people who like everybody they dated was crazy except for them, right?
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah. Okay. Number 5, constantly tricks or lies to people. Like someone who brags about, like, oh, I got over on this person, I get over that. That to me is obvious. That's a major red flag, right? That's like instant. Number 6, I'm just brutally honest.
Okay.
Yep.
Why is that a red? Why can you read why that says that's a red flag?
Being brutally honest or having no filter, it usually signals a severe lack of tact. However, as this was me, I was the guy in my early 20s, and since I've chilled out, one person confessed, people who are brutally honest care more about being brutal than they do being honest. So basically you're saying, like, I'm brutally, so you're using it as a platform to be nasty. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm going to admit this one. I say this.
I say it all the time.
I say it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, to not to justify, but to give a different perspective. For me, when I say that, that's me explaining to the other person that, like, hey, like I've been through shit. I've been through all these scenarios. I've lied. Whether it's I've lied, cheated, or stole my way through it, or however it worked out.
Yeah.
I, for myself, have to be brutally honest to you, whether it hurts you or not. Does it feel good to be brutally honest? It does, but not to be brutal to the person. It feels brutally honest for yourself to be like, oh, that's another weight I don't have to bear it. I have to burn it, right?
Yeah. All right, let's keep rolling here. Number 7 is ignoring their morals to make a buck.
No,
people who brag about,
never.
Number 8 is someone who brags or is proud to have drink and drove. Like, oh, I was wasted and I drove home.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 9 is being the tough guy, always being the tough guy or the tough girl.
I'll tell you what, but I'm definitely tougher than you.
I think that goes along with like the nice thing. I think they think people who are braggadocious about certain qualities of themselves are trying to cover up deficiencies.
Yep, 100%.
Number 10, My hardships were harder than yours.
Dude, whoever says that, you're a pile of shit.
But you know the guys are like you could tell a story and be like, oh man, wait till you hear this. You know, like you won't believe what I went through. And
yeah, it's embellished, and he's probably a weak body. Next,
yeah, more
you know
than
what I'm
likely.
saying?
So that's our top 10 for the week, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got for news. Andrew, back to you.
Awesome, brother. Well, I appreciate it, Matt. So everybody, before when we hop into this next segment, I wanted to start off with a question for everybody. And Matt, I'd like you to kind of think about it yourself, and we'll weigh in after. But I want to ask everybody out there that's watching, what is leadership to you? Just take a moment, think about it, and think about what that word actually means to you, and what a leader looks like through your eyes or your lenses. So for our military listeners out there, this question is going to be super easy because of the structure and training that we've received has been top notch. So bringing this full circle for me in this conversation is something that I've struggled with in the civilian world is there's really absolutely zero structure of leadership out here, especially compared to something coming from the military, right? In my opinion, I think that there's if you're a leader in the civilian division, I do believe that you paint a certain target on your back because there's a lot of jealousy out there. So we felt tonight it was very important to bring back a guest of ours, and which happens to come into a good friend, Matthew Rinehart, to provide updates on the current environment in the military, the Marine Corps. And not only are we getting it from kind of the top, being a gunnery sergeant, we're actually getting an inside look of the difficulties of today's leaders that everybody faces. Now, it's just different degrees and levels to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please give and help us give a warm welcome back to the stage, Gunnery Sergeant Matthew Rinehart. What's going on, Gunny? How are you?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
We're doing really well, man. We really appreciate you coming on here, man. It's great to see you again, and you look great.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me back on. I had a blast the last time we talked, and it's been in the back of my brain for a while to reach out to you guys and see if we could set up something to do another show for sure.
Yeah, awesome. And when I reached out to you, Matthew, we had a good time catching up. But if you could just fill us in on what's been going on since the last time we talked.
Oh man, it's been busy. I got work has been nonstop. Life has been nonstop. Kids won't stop growing. I'm in a healthy relationship now with my girlfriend. So the things are on the way up. But work has been pretty mighty. We got a big old inspection coming up at the end of the month. So it's been kind of digging deep and working longer days, but it'll all be worth it.
Is it the commander's inspection or?
We actually did that a couple of months ago. We have the FASMO inspection. So they're going to go through all of our gear and make sure it's top notch and all the paperwork that goes with it. So
gives me chills just hearing that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely brutal. I'm glad we don't have a gear layout. Although I will say this about the gear layouts. For me and like my civilian gear, like my hiking gear and things like that, I can't get focus or understand what I'm doing unless it's literally all laid out on my tarp and I know how. So it's like it's a scar tissue that will never go away.
You're used to it and it works for you, right? And it keeps you at ease, and it gives you a peace of mind of, okay, I have everything. I laid it all out. I've seen it with my eyes. I put it in with my own hands, and I'm good.
Yep. So Gunny, we really wanted to talk tonight about leadership. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So let me start off by asking you, what was your first experience with leadership? Was it a positive or negative one?
I think a little bit of both. What I can say honestly is even before the military, I was fortunate enough to be in the Boy Scouts, right?
Okay.
And I say that, and I get a lot of chuckles at work when I talk about it, and it's fine. I have no shame in my game, talking about that. But my dad thankfully put me into the Scouts at like, what was it, 5 or 6, and I did that until I was 18 years old. So
Jesus,
that got us all 8 different types of ages and stuff around the father figures and the older Boy Scouts, where we really learned what it means to be a leader, the responsibilities that go with it. There's different billets even in the Boy Scouts that you have. So I had that kind of mentality, growing up with that my entire life, to when I joined the Marine Corps, I knew that it would be somewhat like that, right? Obviously, the boot camp, you obviously look up to those drill instructors because they're Marines and that's what you're trying to be.
Right.
Those days suck, but you signed up for that. That they're there to make you, a Marine. And then you have your follow-on schools and stuff like that. I don't think you really see the true definition of leadership until you get to your first unit.
Yeah.
And I can preach that, one of the most, the biggest determining factors to me staying in the Marine Corps was my first unit. It was an all-male battalion. There were no females there, and it was kind of it was in the wartime and stuff like that. So that's kind of a different topic. But there were people there that you got there as a PFC or a Lance Corporal. You had those corporals that were just hungry to lead you, to guide you, to mentor you. But their sole purpose was to make sure you dug deep and found everything about your job. And it's kind of funny looking back. I talk to my Marines quite often. Like I said last time we talked, I'm an open book. I'm long-winded. I will talk, but you have to ask me, right?
Yeah.
That I've been in a little over 13 years, and I've just been so busy with doing stuff that I do still remember those times where I was a Lance Corporal looking up to Corporal Horn and Sergeant Hum and, picking their brains. I was one of those Marines that asked a million questions a day, wrote down everything I could, to the point where they told me to, shut up, right? Because I would just keep bugging them. But I knew that there's a rotation in the military. Those guys have already been there. They're probably there for another year or two, and then they'll leave. And then guess who's in charge?
You
are. So if you don't take the goods from them, but also the bads, because everywhere you go, there's going to be good and bad leaders. But that's how you learn that, hey, this really benefited me. It'll probably benefit the next guy or gal. And I don't like how that individual did something. I would not do that. That's just really kind of molded you. But the cool part about, the military is you jump around. You transfer every couple of years to another unit. You get new leadership.
Yeah.
You build those lasting relationships, and sometimes you got to leave or they leave, and it sucks. But you stay in contact with those guys. But then you get a different type of leadership in a different unit on a different coast or doing whatever, and you get to see different types of leadership.
Yeah. Well, you answered. Yeah, you answered question 2. Right? Did I? Yeah, no, it's perfect because to go along with those experiences, those early experiences, how did they change your mind in what kind of leader you wanted to be? Because I know that there's good and bad ones, right? So did you look at those corporals and sergeants and staff sergeants, and did you tell yourself, this is how I want to be?
Oh, no, for sure. I'll never forget my first interaction with my first staff sergeant I had. We all got in, checked in. It was me and 6 other PFCs from the schoolhouse. We're nervous, but we're excited. Right?
Fish.
And I remember he lined us all up, and he was kind of sitting on the corner of the desk, and he was like, all right, where are you from? Tell me a little bit about yourself. And I was the last one. And I remember I got down, he got down to me, and I was like, I'm PFC Rinehart from St. Louis, Missouri. And he's like, oh, what part? And in my mind, I'm like, that ain't good. And I was like from Florissant, Missouri. And he's like, what school did you go to? And I was like, Hazelwood Central. And he's like, cool. Yeah, I went to Hazelwood East, so I'm gonna keep an extra eye on you. We're rivals, but in a joking manner. And he literally took me under his wing. Yeah. We're from the same area. Yep. Cool. And he pushed me a little bit harder than the other guys, but I took that as kind of a sign of respect thing, where we're from the same area. We're both in the military, we're the same unit and stuff. And even my first gunny with all the Red Cross stuff, and those guys showed me that being a leader is not only helping you out in your day-to-day aspects of being a Marine, right? But if you're having an off day, they're pulling you to the side. Hey, brother, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right.
And it could be family stuff. It could be what's going on back home. It could be, outside of the military thing, and they still care. And that
Well,
was the best
they
part.
have to understand. They have to. There's a level of leadership that the good leaders have to figure out who you are, because everybody's trained differently. So to your point, Gunny, that I had a sergeant that one day, he wasn't in when I was a boot and I got dropped. He wasn't around the situation, and then all of a sudden, like a week in, he walked by my room and we were 2 doors down from each other. He had no idea who I was, and it was field day, Thursday night.
Yeah.
My door's open. I'm jamming, listening to music. And I honestly think at the time I was a private. I don't even think I had been picked up yet. And he stopped and he was like, "Well, who the hell are you?" And I was like, I stood there and I was like, "Yo, Private Turner." I didn't say no, but like confidently, I was like, "Yo, Private Turner." And he's like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "New York." And he's like, "What part?" Same thing. And I told him, and he's like, "Do you know this part?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he goes, "All right." And he just walked away. And I was like, I don't know if that was good or bad.
Yeah.
He rode me the hardest, hazed me one of the hardest as a E3 and below. But there was this level of like pride and protection, kind of like that you felt that he took me under his wing. It was just, I had to go through the ropes, and I appreciated that. Like, that's how I'm kind of wired. So kind of with that being said, when you've had that experience, you've taken, the good and the bad from your leaders. What were some of the initial challenges when you became like you kind of adapted into this new leader role and you said, okay, this is who I'm going to be?
Yeah, no, I don't think I really saw any type of those, I guess, challenges until I became like an NCO, right? Got promoted to corporal or sergeant. And I think it was like, okay, now, hey, you remember Corporal Horn and Sergeant Hum and all these people, like now you're that guy, right?
Right.
And so now you're in meetings with like the staff sergeant or maybe the gunny, and they're like, hey, this is the plan of attack for the day. No one's leaving until this is done. Execute. You're like, Roger that. And so you go out there and you're starting to break into teams and you're passing word. And you got guys that are, especially in comm, obviously I can relate to that. I'm a radio guy, but in comm, there's radio, there's maintenance, there's data, there's, old wire dogs back in the day. You would pass something to the group and everyone's like, well, I don't got to listen to you because you're in radio, right?
Right.
So those were challenges where like, I just assumed like, hey, I just pull everybody in, I'm going to pass the word and this one needs to get done and it's going to get done. But then I start checking up with Marines and they're like, oh yeah, we got this done, Corporal. I'm like, sweet, awesome. And then I go ask this team and they're like, no, we're not doing that. Like we have our own NCO. And I'm like, okay, yeah. But like I was tasked to get this info and pass it to you all so we can all do it. Like, well, we only report to this corporal. And I'm like, okay, well, let's all bring it in. Let's powwow this,
Let's try this again.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, my first challenge. And then I think another really big challenge was probably coming back from recruiting duty, right? So you've been out of the game for like 3 years, kind of doing your own thing.
Laid back environment, to a more intense, structured, screaming.
100%. And then, you're not around the fleet. You're not around a group of guys. You're around like a team for 3 years. And you build that friendship and that, camaraderie there, which is awesome, which helps you get by. But coming back to the fleet, you have to have an open mind. You can't think, okay, well, I'm going to take it back to 2013, but now it's 2017. Like that, no, it ain't gonna work, dude. It ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So I think I took a pretty good step back in regards to getting to that unit after recruiting duty, and I knew I was replacing. He was a newly promoted gunny. I was replacing him, and I said, hey man, I'm never one to, BS anything. If I don't know the answer, I'm gonna tell you I don't know, and I'll go get the answer. Sure. But I haven't touched the gear in years. Like, I'm gonna shadow you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that helped me out a lot, rather than coming in and be like, hey, bring it in on me. Like, this is what's going on. We're gonna do this, and like, I don't even know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. So we had two. So we had real quick. We had two NCOs. So when we first came back from Afghanistan, Matt, I don't know as if you were in this formation with us, but I think this might have been just a guns formation. We had literally. It's funny that you say that, Gunny, is because we had two different individuals coming off recruiting duty, two different personalities, two different leadership styles. Mm-hmm. One person came out and said, "Hey guys, I'm Staff Sergeant Schulte. I'm super approachable. Like I'm the guy. You want to come hang out with me? You come hang out with Staff Sergeant Schulte. We're gonna get a gun. We're gonna be good. Don't worry about it, Marines. We're all in the same team, same fight. Literally, two seconds later, the other one comes out and goes, yeah. So I'm not super approachable. Do your freaking job. I don't want to get in your ass, and just do what's expected of you. Don't talk to me, and just walked away. So it's just like, so it's funny to hear you just kind of said that in a different manner, Matt.
No, so the challenges that you faced and saw when you were a corporal, I'm sure they grow throughout the ranks. Like, what are some of those challenges that you're still dealing with today, like that you have not overcome, that are a constant?
I think the biggest challenge that I face now is the unit that I've been at for a little over a year is like the biggest comm unit that I've been attached to. When I initially came over from the West Coast, I went to Cherry Point and I had a solid group of guys, but I had 10 Marines. That's it. From my sergeant down to the PFC. I get over to this new unit a little over a year ago, and the Master Gun's like, yep, welcome aboard. Can't wait to have you. Part of the family. We got you. Hey, by the way, you have 52 Marines. And I'm like, okay. And, I, like I said, kind of went in there with an open mind, saw how they, worked and asked even the sergeants, like, hey, man, I get it. I'm a gunny, but like, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions just to see what the day-to-day, tasks are and how you guys work here. I think the biggest challenge is having a bigger group now, and I have a solid team. I'll preach for them day in and day out, but I have a group of guys that are going to be out. I probably got 6 or 7 guys that are going to EAS in the next 6 months, right? Who have already done their TRS and capstone, and they're ready to rock and roll and get that DD-214, which I'm all for, man. As long as you got a solid plan, you go execute it. I got you, right? But at the end of the day, we still got a task, right?
Sure.
So I think some of the challenges is telling what the word of the day is and what we need to execute. Like we had a phase line to hit this week, right? I had a Lance Corporal who was killing it this week. Where like Wednesday, Thursday came around, I'm like, yo, bro, hey, check it out. You grab whoever you need to get this done and tell them to get it done, right? Show them like what paperwork needs to get done and filed, and record jackets, the GCSS service request, get it done, right? And then I have like the group of NCOs that are like, shuffling out the door. And I'm like, you can tell them to do stuff, and most of them will listen. They're good guys, but I understand. I'm not gonna ride you like to the dirt until the day you get out, because I have a plethora of other Marines that I know who are new, eager to learn, willing to work, do whatever needs to get done.
And step up outside their rank, right?
Exactly.
I think that's one of the biggest things too. You have to, there's motivators out there that are willing to go above and beyond. And to your point, Gunny, to seek them out and see them and then trust in them when they're already out there executing, they're coming back with mission accomplishment instead of excuses, right? I remember one time I called my NCO and I was like, well, I don't know if I can. He just starts yelling, screaming at me. He goes, I need results. He goes, figure it out. And he hung up on me. And I was petrified to go back to the motor pool without a solution.
Right.
And I always did. I always came back with some sort of solution. And that was such a stepping stone into me as a person and a man. And it was awesome that I learned it in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. And sure. I think it's one of those things where as a civilian, it's so natural when there's resistance to say, I can't do this, or can I push this off till tomorrow, or something like that. And when you realize in the military that the mission might be a life or death or needs to happen right away, you find those results immediately, and you find them. You don't stop because there's a little resistance or you have an issue with something. And that's the difference. Yeah.
Real quick too, with what you're saying, it's kind of ringing a bell for me. What I remember, and this just kind of shows you how things have changed a little bit. Everyone knows that things have changed. I remember being the hungry Lance Corporal and eager to learn and this, that, and the other. When any NCO came to me, didn't matter what other section they were from in common. They were like, hey, Lance Corporal Rinehart, I need this, and this done.
I Corporal.
Yep. Yeah.
Blink of an eye. Now that still happens, but some of these Marines, and I don't, it's not like a knock on them, but like some of them need to know why they're doing this and show them the bigger picture, i.e. like, hey, we have an exercise coming up. And if this does not get done, like this gear cannot go to the field and we will not be able to execute. And this is like the CO's guidance, right? This is, again, you're a Lance Corporal and you're like a young corporal, but like, if we don't get this done on time, we will go to the field and we'll look like absolute shit. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, okay. That makes sense to me. I thought you were just telling me to do that. Like, no. There's a point behind it. You know what I mean?
And I've actually, there's actually a thing about with the more, what's after millennials? I don't know. Anyways, the end tail millennials for the new generation, that's what they're saying. They have to have more of an understanding of why they're doing something versus just when we grew up, especially in the Marine Corps. I mean, my family, I grew up with that. Well, my mom would say, don't ask questions, just do it. I'm irrelevant, right? Like my grandparents would say because I said so, right? Every kid of our generation has heard that. So I think that it's unique that the Marine Corps is starting to find like to realize this. And I hope that it's just a shift. I don't, as much as probably me, if I was still in, I'd be more of that like old, I would have hoped that I would have adapted to it, because that's the beauty about the Marine Corps is the shoot, move, and communicate aspect of it, not only in the mission, but how we conduct ourselves.
Right.
And the next thing I wanted to kind of bring up. So Matt, you also served with females. I kind of wanted to get both your opinions on some of the challenges that you face it. I want to start with Matt G first. What were some of your greatest challenges with going into learning how to deal with females? And then I kind of wanted you to take that into Gunny. Yeah.
So we've talked about this before many times in the show. To this day, my greatest leadership challenge was being a leader for female Marines.
Yeah.
I was in the battery for 4 years. I was in weapons company. I mean, anytime we saw a female, we barked at her. That was like the only interaction we got with females in the Marine Corps. And then I re-enlisted to go swing with the wing so I could have a little bit less, field time and all that stuff. And then I walk into a shop as a sergeant and I have all these female Marines. And with that, there's different issues you're dealing with. And so for me, it was easy when I was a corporal in guns. I was just smoking MFers, it was easy, and then it was hard for me because at the time I was a young father and I could not talk to female Marines with any sort of like anger or like, it was like, okay, is that okay? Or, I couldn't do it. That was my challenge. I had a young daughter. It just didn't fit with me. I was not able to,
function.
I wasn't able to be like strict or anything with that. And it was always, to this day, is my greatest challenge. So
Matt, I never had that. I don't know if I want to say opportunity or privilege or what have you. Well, first off, I'm going to say privilege, because there are any female warriors out there that sign the dotted line deserve any and all respect as much as anybody does. So shout out to the female military members.
Definitely.
But I would have had the same problem, man. I tell people all the time, I was raised by, I've said it on the show 100 times, raised by all women. That's my kryptonite. Like, how do you be hard and firm? And it's like,
right.
And then you got to worry about this and the emotions and that. I didn't care about emotions of the male Marines. I didn't give a shit.
Not at all.
You want to talk about emotions? Like, go Dr. Phil's on at 6:00. Like, so it's like that was a thing. So I'm interested, Gunny. What's your thoughts on it?
So I would say it was a little bit of a challenge, and I don't want to like blow my head up at all, but I think having the first unit be an all male battalion, that was a normal to me. And then when I went on recruiting duty in southern Wisconsin, there wasn't a lot of females that wanted to join,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I will give the utmost credit to the females I remember coming through that office. And, you know, I worked with 2 other male Marines for the majority of my time. And it was like the unicorn when a female would walk in. We're like, yeah, like, are you looking for the Army's office? It's like, right, it's right there. And they're like, no, I'm literally here to talk about the Marines. I'm like, oh, let's go, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember 3 females coming in where, to be completely honest, judged a book by its cover.
Yep.
And I'm like, there ain't no freaking way. And these females came in hungry and knew all of this stuff and had family already in the military. And I want to one up my brother. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, jump on the pull bar real quick. How many pull-ups do you think you can do? I don't know, a couple. And like one of them, I will never forget. She talked so quietly. I'm like, oh, man, this is gonna be a problem. You break her out of her shell, you know, get a little bit louder. Jumped on the pull bar the first day she came in the office, busted out 17 perfect pull-ups. And I'm like, damn, okay, let's go, you know?
Yeah.
So I gave the respect when the respect was due. And then when I went back to the fleet,
Oh,
we lose him?
did we lose him? Looks like he's a little frozen. He kind of looks good frozen.
Gunny.
Hey, well, why don't we let's just pull him off real quick, Matt. Just so there he goes.
Oh, we got him.
Back.
Well, I want to say I wanted to caveat. I mean, I've served with badass female Marines. I mean, and we had one of them on the show, Kim.
Yeah.
And they would smoke male Marines and running. They outworked them. So, you know, I mean, female Marines are fucking badass. It was a challenge to learn how to speak to them. And I had a female sergeant who told me, like, just listen. She's like, listen, they're worse than the male Marines. You need to talk to them. You need to talk to them strict. You know, they're getting over on you. And I'm like, I just can't fucking do it. You know,
that's hard. So Gunny, we really appreciated you having coming on again. I've got one more final question for you that I'm very curious about this. I know from our relationship together and getting to know, you know, Matt G and I, we've learned a lot about you. We've learned a lot about, like, kind of, if you will, your following or supporters. And you've got a very, very awesome people, a support of people behind you, especially in the military. So I've got to ask, what's been the greatest reward of being a leader to this date?
You hear us?
Yeah, no, that's a good final question. I think me seeing what my leadership did for me from the very beginning, and me know at the end of the day, my goal is to not just make better Marines, but better human beings at the end of the day. Because no matter what, they do 4 years, they do 20 plus years, I hope that they will remember the mentorship, the guidance that I gave them, the laughs, the smiles, the hard times, the good times. I truly hope that most of the people that I ever work with can look back and remember me, and that I help them one way or another. So that's something that I love. I love getting a friendly phone call or a text from guys that I, you know, served with 10 plus years ago, just to check in and shoot the shit. And then watching these Marines come in and literally climb through the ranks and become rock stars right in front of me. It's an absolute amazing feeling. And even when they give you like the little kudos that you're not even really looking for, but, you know, like a thank you, or, you know, I appreciate everything you've done for me, even like when they're leaving or getting an award, and you're just like, that's all that matters at the end of the day, man. That's all I can ever ask for.
I don't think I could have said it any better, Gunny.
No.
Again, we really appreciate you just spending time with us and getting to know us and supporting us over the last several months since we've met. It's probably almost been a year. So again, we always wanted to, especially for you, man, this is an open door policy. You have our information. You hit us up anytime you want to get on, even if it's off air and you want to just shoot the shit and be with the boys, have a beer. We're here for you. We support you. And anything that we can do while you're out and about fighting for our freedom, man, if you just shoot us a message, and we're here to support you. So we thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, will do, man. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and I appreciate what you guys do. Obviously, I threw a little plug in there at work the past couple of days. I think what you guys do is simply amazing, and I think I said it last time, and I say it in regards to almost everything I do. If you're able to help even just one person, that's all that matters at the end of the day, man.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please give another warm applause for Gunnery Sergeant Matthew Rinehart. Thanks for joining us. I love that guy, man. He's you know, I wasn't too involved with the follow-ups this week and getting everything scheduled with between work and the closing. I'm just straight out, as you know. And so again, Matt, I want to finally give you your accolades, my friend.
Oh, okay. Are we at that point in the show?
We're at that point in the show where I can now just calm down and sit and relax. No, I do want to thank you, man. You gave me a call the other day, and I didn't really get to express this to you because we're always talking, and we might get to talk for 30 minutes or 2 seconds, right? But dude, you called me mad motivated the other day, and it just kind of sparked a little flame in my ass to continue on with our mission. Not that there was any thought of us wavering from it, but buckling down, figuring out what's the best for our mission, right? And when you called me, man, it just got me super motivated. And so kind of with that being said, Matt, I'm gonna throw out the announcement if that's okay with you.
Yeah, man, let it rip.
So everybody, we got a little bit of announcement on the Disarranged Talk Show. Matt and I we're committed to bettering our content, and for us to do that, we believe that shooting a show every other week will be beneficial in multiple ways, right? So between work, life, and the show, there's little time, obviously, for us to properly execute this mission. And it's very important for us to continue to try to put out good content. We've lacked, and there's certain things of our organization that we've built that we've lacked on. And it's important for us, again, like I said, to properly execute our mission. We need to focus on it. We're a 2-man team, and we're doing the best we can. So we hope that you guys continue to support us and watch us actually live the dream. We wanted to thank you for joining us week in and week out. And I wanted to thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be right back here on here, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, TikTok in the 2 weeks from now. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe on all our platforms at Disarranged Talk Show. And we, again, thank you very much, everybody, for watching us. We hope you have a blessed weekend, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.